Good morning, everybody. It's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is the final Sunday in February, if you can believe that. How is everybody? Awesome, that's really good to hear. Okay, so we've got a lot to go over in this video. So we're gonna just dive right on in because we've got Q&A, we've got haul, we've got a finish, we've got new starts, we got all sorts of crazy cool stuff. So we shall jump on in. We will not be doing the March goals because next Sunday is the 1st of March. So it'll be easier once I've gotten through this week and see where I'm at to make my plans for next month. So we'll do our monthly whip parade, if you will, then. So we'll dive right on in with the Q&A. The first question comes from Vicky Stitching Trucker. She says, okay, those evil princesses celebrate Christmas is absolutely adorable. Where did you pick that up from? This was a couple of videos back. Those came from my LNS, but they are definitely available. I've seen them on 123 Stitch. Come on, computer, scroll. I would like to see the... Oh, that was too far. Alright, Philip Hoskins asks, so I was watching one of your older videos and you mentioned that you don't like using Valdani flosses. Why is this? I'm actually going to start a project by Rosewood Manor called Quaker Diamonds. I purchased the thread pack, so any tips about them? Also, I noticed that there are skeins of Valdani and also the ones in the thread pack which seem to be little balls. Are they the same or just different types of threads with the same colorway? I asked because if I run out of color, I wouldn't want to purchase the entire thread pack again. Also because that would be like $50 for that single color. Okay, so to answer your first question, the reason I've never I've never actually used the Valdani balls, so I genuinely don't know anything about them. The Valdani I have used has been their skeins, and I don't know if it's just, and I haven't used them very much, so I don't know if it's just the couple of skeins that I have, or if this is something that the brand has an issue with in general, but I found it tangled on me more than it didn't. As you may recall, I've got a Tiny Modernist Halloween pattern, and I used the Valdani on that, and it seemed like every third or fourth stitch I was having to untangle it or unknot it. So for me, it was not something I enjoyed enough. And I feel like I used it in another place and had a similar problem with a different colorway. So I haven't really done a lot more with them since then. I don't really have a large collection of them to begin with. So it may have just been I got too lemon skeins, because that does happen. So I really don't know, but that's why I'm not a fan of them. And I'm sorry that I can't answer your question about the balls. I wish I could, but I genuinely can't. Black Ribbon Crochet Studio says, do you have an opinion on using DMC blended threads? My current whip calls for the blending of 3 colors. I don't mind them. I'll use it when it's called for, or occasionally for a very specific effect. If you go back and look, and unfortunately it's not where I can get it, or I would show you, at my Secret Garden part of the Storytime Classics from Frosted Pumpkin, I actually tweeted together a purple and a tan so that it would look like faded painted wood. So I actually think it can be a great effect. What tends to frustrate me about them, and I think this is probably what frustrates most people about them, is you can never get 2 lengths of 2 different colors the same length all the time. So inevitably you'll cut and then you have to trim, and then sometimes you end up with 5 supplies of one color left. So then you have to figure out, well, I can use obviously the double together later, but then you've got this one random one that you may never need. So I think that's at least where my frustration with the blended colors comes in. But overall, I do like them, and I do think they can make a really good effect. Susan Kruger, it was lovely to meet you too. And I'll show what I what I received from you shortly. Hello to, hello, Mr. Bear. The dogs are back here with me. Back from a 3-year-old video now, asked who the designers for National Parks and Passport are. Hopefully you've caught up somewhere in there and heard, but in the off chance that you're now to this video and still don't know, both of those are Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Gina Gorsuch, I probably just botched your name again, and I'm sorry. Says, in the past you've mentioned that you put your finished stitched pieces in a drawer. Do you have plans to ever FFO them? Yes. Will those plans be coming to fruition anytime soon? Probably not. But yes, I do eventually plan to do something with all of them. It's just a matter of having the space and skill. Apollonia Lambertus, yes, it's Lord Librian's website. If you go to video 262 and scroll through the comments, someone there shared the link there, and that's probably the easiest way to get it to you. Susan Houghton, I'm so glad, or Houghton. The H-O-U always throws me because everywhere else it's like the city of Houston is H-O-U, but everywhere else it's Houston, so I'm never really sure how I'm supposed to pronounce anything H-O-U, so if I pronounced your last name wrong, I'm sorry. But that's why. It's the Texan in me. But I'm glad you were able to find the video. All right, and that takes us to the end of this week's Q&A. All right, so, as always, I love the Q&A. Don't be afraid to send it to me. So the next thing will be our haul, and we've got a good amount of it. So, first, we'll start with what I got when I went to Stitch Niche. So, first, my lovely friend Shannon, Soldier Stitcher, found another piece of linen that she wasn't going to use, so she gave it to me. So this is it. So, of course, as always, thank you to her. I got the next House on a Hill. So this is the last one in the series. This is Came the Spring. And I'm not... I guess this is... Yeah, this is a Saltbox house. So, there it is. This is hands-on design. So, I have all of them now. They're supposed to be done as pincushions. But knowing me, what I may actually do with them, if I can figure out how to make it work, is make it just one big sampler. So, we shall see. And then, Susan was destashing... and had a big box of stuff, so I got a Seaside sampler from Glory Bee, because I thought it was super cute. And this lovely kit that doesn't have a very clear date on it anywhere, but I'm guessing is from, based on the sticker, it says 7 of 96, so I'm going to guess it's somewhere in the 90s. It's a bead and stitch. I don't even know what company this is, but it's a cute little house, and it had all sorts of really pretty, you can sort of see it there, all sorts of really pretty beads. So, there it is. So I thought that was super cute. Alright, then came the always wonderful nest egg from Trisha. So this month I got Woolwise Antique Rose, Black Crow, Black Licorice, Black Raspberry Jam, and Blue Spruce. So a couple of these were colors I already had, but they're good colors for hair and fur, so they get used a lot. And Blue Spruce also makes very good trees. Wool makes good tree, like pine tree sorts of things. And then I got my Krynic. So we got High Luster Gold, Ginger, regular fuchsia, and gold coin. So, as always, a lovely, lovely arrival from Trisha. Boop. Put those back in there just for safety. All right. Then I got some fabric from Fortnite. So first, they started doing a thing called Wacky Wednesdays, where once a month they're sort of one-offs or colors that didn't really work out. They're selling them. So I got this one, which I'm calling Chocolate Chip Brownie. It's an Aida. I think this is 14 count, but it may be 16. I got this beautiful piece of Even Weave, which is showing up much pinker on camera than it is in person. In person, it's a little more red-brown. And I don't have a name for that. Alright, then I got they did a custom piece for me for that Disneyland map. So this is similar to what Christian's using for his Scrolls of Sumatra. So I'm calling this one Christian's Treasure Map is what I've decided I'm going to name this one. So this is 16 count. So I just have to get the floss, and then I will be ready to start it. Alright, and then I got my fabric of the month, which I'm doing the neutral. This year's theme is mushrooms, and this is called Hen of the Woods. So it's more brown gray in person. It's showing up just more gray here on camera, but I like it. And it'll be very good for some sort of like spooky Halloween piece. So, and they've got, they have cards now that have a typo in them, which they know about, and they pointed out in their last video. That's the only reason I pointed it out. Alright, so that is all of the haul for the week. So now we dive into what I worked on last week. Oh, wait, no, there was one other thing. I did get a 10-inch wooden hoop for my mice. So when I eventually learn how I finish off big hoops, then this will be ready to go. I've got to center it a little better, but you get the idea. All right. Okay, so this week, the homework assignment was to do 1,000 stitches, just 1,000 stitches. And what was our prompt for it? Where is my button? The option was to either pick a project that makes you want to hole up and avoid the world and stitch, or stitch on a project that consumes your love and attention. So I chose, and we had to do 1,000 stitches, so it didn't have to just be on the one. So I went for gusto, went for broke, and got a finish. So here is the Leslie Tier Wizard of Oz. All done. It's on 14 count oatmeal Ada from Charles Craft, I believe. I started it. This is how old this is. First off, I was still using masking tape. But I don't know how well you can read that. You may not be able to. But it says August 12th, 2014. This predates Instagram. This predates Stitch Mania. This predates the person I dated before G. This obviously predates G. This predates my current job. This predates both of my dogs being alive. It was actually my grandmother's 80th birthday when I started this. Not specifically because of that, it just, I think, was one of those things, that's how it worked out. I mean, a lot has changed. That's almost 6 years. And so it was really weird when I was putting the final stitches in this, thinking about everything that's changed, how I've grown as a stitcher, how I've grown as an individual, where my life is then compared to now. So it was a whole lot of, like, really interesting things to process and go through. So it's done. I am sad. I'm not really sad it's done. That's not the right word. But it's done. I did it. I'm glad I did it. It was fun. It was occasionally frustrating. But it's all done. So my oldest whip now officially is that Soda Stitch in the Fairy Tales book. So we'll see what happens there. Alright. At some point I need to really do a DMC floss cleanup. I may do that tonight. Alright, so let's see, other things I worked on, and we did actually, and I'll discuss the plans here momentarily. I'll do it now. So I worked a little on Sunday on modern folk embroidery. I used Rainy Day from Classic Colorworks to do the border and started on that motif. I've made a bit of a decision, though. I really, really love this pattern. However, it's beginning to play into my anxiety a little bit. Because the motifs are split across pages that we don't have yet, it's making me a little itchy, because that's probably the best way I can describe it, because I've got unfinished motifs, and I don't like that. I would rather have the motif and do it and be done, and move on to the next one. So what I'm going to do is it's going to go temporarily away until all the parts are released, and then I'll work on I'll bring it back into the rotation. But it's making me too itchy to not have it, to have incomplete motifs. And it makes me not want to work on it. So we're going to, for that reason, put it away. Subsequently, I've replaced it with another Sal, but I'll show you that momentarily. So I actually had 2 starts this week. One is my my earned start for finishing 3 projects, which were the 2 Christmas presents and City Mouse Country Mouse. The other start was to replace that one. So I still have one more earned start, which is going to go to Disneyland Map. But I started Lizzie Borden from Primitive Hair. So I got one section of words done. So 40 wax, when she saw. And it occurred to me, I was complaining about the homework and not having a black. I've got a black. Why did I forget this one? So I can actually do all the homework. But more on that in a moment. So I got that started. This is on the Ship's Manor January 2020, actually. January 2020. This is the 32 count linen. I am calling this fabric Dried Blood because it seems appropriate for Miss Lizzie. But I really wanted to start it because we're planning to visit the Lizzie Borden house this year. So, boop. All right, then the other thing I started was the Tiny Modernist Every Season Sal. And this is on Portobello Even Weave from Fabric Flare. And I got the center portion done. So it says, to everything there is a season. And I started the outer frames. I did make sure I'm going to have, like, the top stitches, like... Here, we'll sort of pull... I counted to make sure. The last stitch is, like, right there. So I've got plenty of space. Yay! We're not going to have a repeat. So I got the center part done, and like I said, I started up on the next part. So next month's goal is going to be, because this one only comes out bi-monthly. It's not every month. So my goal on that one is going to be to finish at least the spring frame and its little corner border. And I've decided that while I'm going to do the outline frames in white, I'm going to use Monet's Pond from Gloriana for the outer frame. So I think that's going to be really pretty. So I really enjoyed working on this. The only substitution I made, it does call for Weeks Dye Works Malachite, but there wasn't a slot for it at all at Stitch Niche. So I took the DMC conversion for Malachite and held it up, and I'm actually using Sea Glass from Weeks Dye Works as the other one.
Hello, Miss. Hello, Mrs. Phoebe.
She came out from under the bed. Do you want to come up here? Nope, you're going to hide back under the bed. Okay. All right. Then, that took me through to Friday. Well, Friday, I knew that I was going to have the next part of Three Musketeers coming out, and I didn't want to start on a big goal. So instead, I did my 2 remaining bats on Nevermore. Their eyes, I used Cherry Cobbler from Classic Colorworks. And they're also in Blackboard, like the birds. So, and I've named them Edgar, Allan, and Poe, because that seemed appropriate. So here it is. So next month, for sure, I'll be doing the sun and the moon. I just have to pick my colors for those still. Which means all those people out there that I could fur on with these sorts of things, get ready. All right, so then the next thing was part 2 of Three Musketeers, which is going to lead us into homework. Well, today and then homework. So here's where I got on it. I was really distracted late yesterday, so I didn't get quite as far as I would have liked. But I did get this little, I'm calling it a diadem. I'm not sure if it is or not, but I got the diadem finished. I got the word all, and I got part of the motif under it, which sets me up perfect for this week's homework. So today is the next Stitch In day at Stitch Niche for the May Health and Peace. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. Here's where I'm at on it. So we'll see what I get done today. You in there. Okay. So for this week's homework, it finishes out the book about the Evil Queen, and we're doing a fun challenge. we're basically following sort of the spell to create the poisoned apple. So the cauldron was bubbling. At first, it turns a gray color. Or at first, it was a gray color with all the stuff in it. So I'm going to be working on Three Musketeers because there's gray leaves below that last gold thing. So that's going to be the first homework tomorrow. The next thing that happens is the liquid turns green. So I'm going to work on Pride and Prejudice. And work on the next side of the border. I'm probably not going to get part 2 finished this month, but that's okay. It's the journey, and that's what matters. Alright, then the next is the potion turns to a sickly blue. And for that, I'm going to be working on... this is tentative. I do have to sit down and make sure that my color names are actually all blues. But I will work on Beauty and the Beast from Veronica and Ginger. Ooh, too much pattern showing. Because those are all blues that the Beast is done in. So I did briefly work on this week. But my goal is going to be to try and fill in his head. So there's where we're at on him. Then the potion turns the apple black. So I'll work on Lizzie Borden's letters. And then finally, she said one more incantation that turned the potion back to red. So I will work on Strawberry Fields Forever. And I will work on 100 Stitches for the house color. And then we have a bonus of 300 stitches required. The queen has to choose a path, one where she lives and one where she dies. Which path did she choose? And stitch on a design that shows the path and explain. And that's going to be whatever I feel like I need to work on the most. So we'll see what happens. I don't know which one of them is going to be yet, but we shall see next week. So, anyhow, that is it for me today. I hope everyone has a great week, a great end to their month. If you are going to be at the Stitch Niche thing today, I will see y'all there. And that's it. Bye.